Hi everybody, welcome back to Avo Tutorials. Today I would like to show you how you can import your Google Calendar meetings into Google Sheets automatically and also keep track of the number of hours spent for each client. In this current use case, it is going to be two clients that I deal with, which is IKEA and Nike, and personally I just need to track how many hours I spent for each client every week, and this code over here is going to automatically populate for me. So just let me remove this, and I'm going to start with the demo. I'm going to run my code in app script, and you can see my Google Sheet is going to automatically populate all the meetings that took place in June last week. Over here I have 8 meetings, and in total over here I do have 8 meetings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. So all of them have been populated, and you can see that it's split by each client. And when I go to my pivot table, I can see that in the month of June I spent 4 hours for IKEA and 5 hours for Nike. Now I'm going to show you my meetings in May as well that I want to extract out. So let's just go back another week, which is the late May, 29 to 31st. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I do have 7 meetings that were scheduled in May, and I also want the hours to be tracked. So I'm going to change up my code here a little bit. Instead of 9 days before from today, I'm going to change to 14 days. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to click run. Now you can see that automatically it's going to populate all the meetings in May, and in total I have 7 meetings. Awesome. So it managed to capture all of them and even split them up into my clients. And when I go to the pivot table, you can see that in the month of May I spent 8.5 hours in total, 5.5 for IKEA and 3 for Nike. So this is very helpful because every month and every week I do need to know what are the hours that I've spent for each client, and this will help me build my clients as well. Now let's jump into the code that I would like to explain how to make this happen. If you are interested to follow along with me, click in the link in the description. I do have a sheet where you can just open up and then create a copy. Yes, so you can make a copy. Now once you have created a copy, go to extensions and then click app script. You're going to change this to your own email address. Please make sure you change it up, and this is the email address that is tied to your Google Calendar. And then after you change that up, you can click run, and it's going to ask you to review your permissions. So click review permissions, click your own email address, click advanced, go to import, and then click allow. Once you click allow, the execution is going to start and it's going to say completed, and you are going to extract out all your meetings that you have scheduled in your own Google Calendar. So it's not going to look the same as what I have over here. You're going to see whatever meetings that you have scheduled before. Okay? Alright, let's jump back into the code. It starts off with log meetings. So this function is called log meetings. It's going to start off by you telling the system which email address is tied to your calendar. So in my case, it's Bam Hummus. And if you're not sure what email address ties to your Google Calendar, you can just come to these 3 little dots here in Google Calendar and then go to settings, and then scroll all the way down, and you can see that you are the owner of that calendar. So use that Gmail account that is tied to your Google Calendar. Once you change that up, you are good to go. And make sure to keep this as well. This is going to, let's say if I'm going to change this up, XXX Gmail, and when I click run, it's not a legit calendar, and you can see that, it's going to tell you calendar not found. So this is a function to let you know in your execution log if the calendar is not available. So in my case, I'm going to change it back to Bam Hummus, and then we're going to define the range. How far back you want the system to extract the meetings. For example, in my earlier demo, it started off with 9 days because I actually wanted to extract out last week's e-meetings, but today is the 11th. So if I'm going to run this on a Sunday, then like let's say I've run the code on Sunday, then I will change it to 7 days. The reason why you are multiplying 24, 60 and whatnot is because whenever Google extracts out your timing from your Google Calendar, it extracts out in milliseconds, and in order for it to get the days, it needs to multiply all of this and convert it to milliseconds. So I'm going to do like 9 days before and changing it to milliseconds. So for example, if you want to do 2 weeks before or 1 month before, make sure you change the amount of days over here. So in my case, it will be 9 days because I want it to extract out from last week, and then name it as 1 week ago. You can change this up. It's just a label for your own function. Then after that, you're going to fetch the events from the calendar and then open up the Google Sheet and select the spreadsheet. So this part here is really, really important. Sheet number 1 is referring to the sheet where you want the log to be populated in. If you are naming this, for example, as ABC1, you need to make sure you change this as well to ABC1. Okay, then it also has a comment that says if the sheet is empty, add headers, because I'm going to start off with an empty sheet. And when I run the code, then it's going to populate in the headers, which is the meeting name, client name, date, number of hours, month number, and event ID. Meeting name comes from your meeting that you have created, the name of your meeting, and then it's going to extract out the date and time of your meeting. And the very important part is the description here. How it extracts out the client is you stating who is the client in your description. So this is something that you need to input into every of your meetings that you have scheduled, so that it's able to extract out and populate properly which client it falls into. And later on in the code, you will understand how the system extracts out the client name. But it's really important for you to put this into every of your meetings. Then you are going to get all the existing event IDs to avoid duplicates. If you realize, over here is the event ID, and every meeting is tied to an event ID, vice versa. And what it does in this code here is once it extracts out this event ID, it is not going to extract out again. So it is going to prevent duplication. For example, if I'm going to run this code right now again, let's just say I'm going to save and run it again, it shouldn't populate anymore because I already have everything in place, right? If let's say I remove all my June meetings, let me just delete all of this. So I remove all my June meetings, and my code here is supposed to extract out previous 9 days, which is all my June meetings, and I'm going to click run again. Now when you look back at the sheet, it is going to populate back all my June meetings because the event ID was not present anymore, and that's how it populated again. Then you're going to log each event. Over here is a label for each column that it was going to populate in the sheet. So title would be the title of your meeting, then you have the description that extracts out the client name, then you have the start time, date, month, duration and whatnot, and the function that is tied to each label. So here in my date format, it is going to extract out the date in a month / day / year and hours, minutes, seconds. Then the month is going to be formatted in which means it's going to be formatted in words May, June, July, August and whatnot. Then it is going to also extract out the month number for me. 1 means it's for Jan, 2 for February and so on. And the duration would be the number of hours spent for each meeting. Then after that, it's going to append all of those details in the sheet, just like how you've seen in the demo. Okay, next up, you're going to have a helper function to extract the client name from the event description. Here, what you can change would be the one in red. Here is telling the code that I want to extract out the word that comes after client ... So like I mentioned earlier, in each of your meeting description, you're going to put in client ... and your client's name. So for example here, let's say I'm going to create a new meeting, let's say on the 7th, and I'm going to put business review. Let's just put business review, and I'm going to put for client, let's just say client ABC. Alright, so I'm going to show you this. I'm going to click save, and it's on the 7th. So I'm going to run the code again. So it should populate in the one that took place on the 7th, there, over here. So there you go, it says ABC, because that is extracted after the client word. And it's really important for you to include that in your meetings. If, for example, you don't want it to name it as client, you want to name it something else, like account name, brand, whatever you want, just make sure it's standardized in all your meetings that you have scheduled, so that this code will know what to look out for. The last part here is creating a trigger. Right now, we are running the code manually, right? We are clicking run whenever we want it to populate in. But for me, I have created a trigger that I want to run the code weekly, and it's going to run every Sunday at 11 p.m. If you would like to change this, make sure you change this up. So whatever weekday or weekend that you want to run it on, and then change the time. So that way you can make sure that every week your sheet is populated, up to date, and every Monday you can see, okay, how many hours you've spent in the past week or past couple of weeks. And that's it. Once you have all of this set up, click run, and then go to this drop down over here, click create weekly trigger, and then click run. So that way you're telling the system, you have registered in the system that you want to run this weekly. If you do not run this function over here, it is not going to run for you. Just to make sure that your trigger has been set up correctly, you can actually go to the sidebar over here and click on triggers, and you can see that your trigger has been created, and you can even look at the details. So it's telling the system to run your code, which is called log meetings. Remember, your whole function is called log meetings. Then it's going to run your code, which is time driven, weekly, every Sunday from 11 p.m. to midnight, and then you're going to notify you daily as well if there's any failures while running the code. So I'm going to go back to my code, and there you go. I really hope that this is helpful. Again, if you want the access to the sheet, go to the description down below and copy the sheet, change up your email address, and click run, and you're good to go. I really hope this was helpful. Do drop me any comments down below for any tutorials that you'd like me to do, and I hope to see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.